The Democratic National Committee has selected its slate of new leadership, and among the fresh faces at the DNC is none other than 24-year-old David Hogg, who has tormented the electability of the party while building a brand as king of the anti-gun extremists.
It's been a long day, but guess what? We have a long road ahead. Let's go and kick some ass.
Instead of using the last several years, or even months or weeks, to determine that a bit of a rebrand might be necessary after humiliating defeat, the DNC has doubled down on far-left, radical ideas. The David Hogg pick shows the future of the DNC is not going to be different from the current out-of-touch Democratic Party.
Let's go win our young people back, and let's stop sending just our thoughts and prayers to address gun violence and do something.
This DNC leadership will essentially oversee the selection of the next presidential nominee, so conservatives have been cheering on the Hogg hire, preemptively offering their congratulations to J.D. Vance on his 2028 victory.
I love you guys so much. I could go on and on. Let's go party.
You're probably wondering how the DNC ended up this far gone. And on the off chance you were able to completely avoid the Gen Z nightmare for the past 7 years, here's the tale of his ascent to DNC vice chair. David Hogg's political career began in 2018 at 17 years old on the day of the school shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Hogg was a senior at the time. Still in lockdown, Hogg started filming, asking fellow students about their positions on gun control. Hogg quickly appeared across cable news channels to comment on the attack in Parkland and call for action.
How dare you? Children are dying and their blood is on your hands because of that. Please, take action. Stop going on vacation in Mar-a-Lago. Take action, work with Congress. Your party controls both the House and Senate. Take action, get some bills passed, and for God's sake, that saves some lives.
Hogg helped start March for Our Lives, an advocacy group within weeks of the shooting, and 1 month later, schools across the country held highly disruptive anti-gun walkouts and protests.
When politicians send their thoughts and prayers with no action, we say no more. And to those politicians supported by the NRA that allow the continued slaughter of our children and our future, I say get your resumes ready.
By April, Hogg and some classmates made the cover of Time magazine. After graduating high school, Hogg spent a year campaigning for Democrats in 2018 midterm races. Then, naturally, he headed to Harvard. A professor described Hogg as having tunnel vision when he first arrived because he chose to study the post-World War II rise of conservatism in the United States in order to study the enemy. In 2021, Hogg announced that he and a tech entrepreneur would launch a pillow company called Good Pillow to compete with Mike Lindell's My Pillow. We are going to prove that progressives can make a better pillow, run a better business, and help make the world a better place while doing it, Hogg wrote at the time. Slight problem: Hogg and his business partner never registered for a trademark for the Good Pillow name. I'm fairly certain to this day none of the pre-orderers have received a pillow. Plus, 2 months after the announcement of Good Pillow and after several accusations of grift by fellow gun control activists, Hogg resigned and distanced himself from the company, citing a need to focus on schoolwork, activism, and family commitments. The irony is not lost that now this guy is running the DNC. David Hogg also headlined speaking events, including a recent TED Talk focused on putting young people in power and passing sweeping gun control. But Hogg has had a tough time when faced with any argument beyond pure emotion like this, when a Chinese-American immigrant takes him to task on the Second Amendment.
So my question to you, David, is that can you guarantee me, a gun owner tonight, our government in the U.S., in D.C., will never become a tyrannical government? Can you guarantee that to me?
There's no way I can ever guarantee that any government will not be tyrannical.
Well, then the debate on gun control is over, because I will never give up my guns. Never. And you should go to China to see how gun control works for dictatorship of CCP.
National Review's Jim Garrity predicts that now, as DNC vice chair, David Hogg is likely to keep doing what he does best, insisting that the Second Amendment does not protect an individual's right to own a firearm, arguing that the National Rifle Association is a terrorist organization, and making ill-informed and hard-left controversial statements on social media. His social media posts are indeed far out. Here's some of David Hogg's best and brightest tweets. Rapid fire.
If you need a license to kill deer, why don't you need one to kill humans? I'm never planning on having kids. I would much rather own a Porsche and having a Portuguese water dog and golden doodle. Long term, it's cheaper, better for the environment, and will never tell you that it hates you or ask you to pay for college.
Well, that's super miserable and nihilistic.
I'm one of the most politically toxic people in the country, and I'm too radical for American politics. We have enough straight white men in power.
David, I think you should look back at this tweet and take your own advice and remove yourself from our political picture. But despite his self-proclaimed political toxicity, Hogg was able to drum up endorsements for this position from Representative Eric Swalwell, Teachers Union President Randy Weingarten, oh god, she's the worst, and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Yeah, that Tim Walz. With 1 million followers on X, it's hard to argue Hogg isn't at least somewhat dynamic and enticing to young progressives. The DNC perhaps saw him as a threat. In October 2023, he was creating a rift between young radicals and the more reasonable, Constitution-respecting, gun-toting Dems. He tweeted, "If
you don't support banning semi-automatic rifles, you should leave the Democratic Party and join the Guns Over People Party."
So the move to elect David Hogg solidifies the DNC's radical gun control position, or at least a coalition within the party, that which they tried to hide during the 2024 election in order to earn support from moderates.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Now, right-wingers are coming after you for how you handle your shotgun.
Well, I can shoot better than all of them. I guarantee. I got the trophies to prove it.
The electorate, obviously, saw right through this, and Democrats lost every single swing state. For the record, from 2013 to 2016, the person who held David Hogg's position as vice chair of the DNC was none other than Tulsi Gabbard. Gabbard ultimately resigned from the position to work on the Bernie Sanders campaign, and after a quick presidential run and a couple of party changes, she's headed for the position of Director of National Intelligence in the Trump White House. Wow, what an evolution. But couldn't this say something else as well about where the DNC is taking their party? Led not too long ago by Gabbard, an Army veteran, led now by an anti-gun activist. National Review's Jeff Blair comments, "In a psychological sense, it's understandable enough. If you're floating in the ocean on a plank of driftwood after a shipwreck, do you let go of the one plank of driftwood in the hopes a life raft will come bobbing by? No, you cling to what you have for your life. And Democrats are clinging to wokeness at their peril." Meanwhile, Doge has enlisted some young genius engineers to cut government waste. For more on that, click here.